Vice President Mike Pence pitched the USMCA trade deal in Iowa Wednesday, but that wasn't his only reason for being in the state. Mr. Pence also took time to target Democrats.
The truth is, and we all know it, Democrats have been spending all their time on endless investigations and a partisan impeachment. But enough is enough. The American people deserve better.
Politico reports the vice president is making a point to stop in Des Moines this week, as well as other battleground districts with freshman Democrats. It's reportedly part of a national tour of congressional districts represented by Democrats who've come out in support of the impeachment inquiry into President Trump. Politico reporter Alex Isenstadt joins me now from Arlington, Virginia. Thank you so much for being with us, Alex.
Thank you.
So why is the White House deploying Vice President Pence now?
Well, this is part of the overall White House strategy to push back on impeachment. And that really is to sort of put pressure on House Democrats, particularly House Democrats who reside in districts that Donald Trump won in 2016, and sort of put pressure on them as this impeachment process gets underway. You know, many of these House Democrats have actually given their support to the inquiry, but the White House wants to put pressure on these Democrats politically. In other words, to put them in a position where they might lose or pay some kind of political price if this impeachment goes forward.
So what districts are actually on the vice president's itinerary?
Well, you know, one big one is Iowa, which you're seeing the vice president at today. You're going to see Minnesota tomorrow, where the vice president is going to be. You're going to see other districts in places like Michigan. The bottom line is that there are about 31 districts that House Democrats hold that Donald Trump also won in 2016. And a good number of those, over 24, roughly 24 or so, of those House Democrats in those pro-Trump districts actually support the impeachment inquiry. And so you're going to see the vice president go to a lot of those districts and try to put pressure on Democrats in much of the same way you saw him do today in Iowa.
And what is it exactly that he's going to say in terms of messaging when he gets to those districts?
You know, it's interesting. You talk to the vice president's staff, and what they tell you is that they are convinced that voters care much more about issues like prescription drug prices, like trade, like health care and other issues than they do impeachment. And so they believe that the Democratic impeachment push has given them an opening to talk about issues, kitchen table issues, that they think voters care about more.
So do Republicans overall think that this is a good way of combating the impeachment inquiry, especially in sort of the absence of a cohesive, coherent strategy from the White House itself?
Right, and this has been part of the problem. So you have the vice president out there today going on this nationwide tour to put pressure on House Democrats, but then you have kind of this muddled message coming out of the White House, in large part because President Trump is talking about so many other things related to this on a daily basis. I mean, look just last weekend, you look at the president's Twitter feed, and he was going off about any number of things, and that's really continued on into the work week. So at some point, you're not seeing a sort of coherent, cohesive message out of the White House, in large part because of the president himself, who has decided that he doesn't want to have a war room. Instead, he decided that he pretty much wants to be a one-man war room with his Twitter feed.
So how have Democrats, Alex, been responding to the vice president's planned visits to these battleground districts?
Well, one of the things that Democrats plan to do is to remind voters that Mike Pence himself has sort of become embroiled in this Ukraine scandal. You know, it's important to note that House Democrats have actually sent a letter over the last week to the vice president's office asking them for whatever documents that might shed light on whatever the vice president knew about the president's dealings with Ukraine. And so, you know, Democrats are trying to rope the vice president into this and really trying to undermine him that way.
All right, Alex Isenstadt. Alex, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.